Welcome back to The Art of Selling Art. My name is Jason, and I started The Art of Selling Art in 2018 to help early and mid-career artists understand the foundations of business so that they could sell more art. Now, this is the Tacit Masterclass, and it is broken up into 5 parts. So if you're here for the first time, you definitely want to go back and you want to watch the customer journey. We talk about in section 1, what is sales and what is the customer journey and what that should look like for you. Then we talk about marketing campaigns. And I know you want to jump to the marketing campaign part, but the marketing campaign will be very ineffective if you don't understand the customer journey. And your marketing campaign will be very ineffective if you don't understand messaging, which is what we're going to talk about right now. So let's get started with that. So what happens after people discover you? You've created the avatar, you know who your customer is, and you have a framework for how you're going to speak to them. And then we did a marketing tutorial about how to reach your people with increasingly intimate content. Now they've discovered you, what next? And if you've watched part 1 and part 2, you're going to be asking, when am I going to talk about actual sales? And the last section of this is the asking for the sale part. We're going to talk about pricing and then asking for the sale. But you can't get there if you're not set up to receive potential customers in a way that guides them through this process. So I want to talk about briefly the 7 principles of marketing/messaging. And what these are is really the foundational principles of marketing or of speaking to people, of communication. And I have a whole 90-minute talk about all of these things. But for now, I want to talk about authority and 2 others. So authority is what is or why should I buy from so-and-so? Okay, why should anybody look at you and your art and say, I should buy from this guy? And they're going to do that. They're going to make that purchase if they can see you as an authority on your work. Now, let's visualize authority in a different way. So let's say you were skateboarding down the street and you fall off your skateboard and you break your arm and there's a bone shooting out. It's terrible, right? And unlike real people in this imaginary simulation, everyone comes around to help you. And everyone's giving you advice. You have a dozen people around you, but one of them is wearing a long white coat and they have a stethoscope and a name tag. Who are you going to listen to? The person who appears to be an authority. Okay. Now, nobody is going to come down. There's no overlord of the internet who's going to come down and bestow authority upon you and give you a certificate that says so-and-so is now an authority on this section of the internet and these combination of pixels. Instead, you are going to present yourself as an authority by the way you articulate the value and the story of your work. Now, we're coming upon a very touchy subject. Does art speak for itself? No. No, it doesn't. And I know there's going to be people who are watching this and they're going to fill the comments with blah, 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 art should speak for itself. And I guarantee you, as someone who's been selling art for 10 years, that it does not. Okay? You need to be able to articulate your story to your customer in a way that they understand, because the visual is going to capture them and the story is going to reflect on their soul. And then when their heart vibes with the art, that's when they buy. Okay? Authority is your ability to articulate the story and the aesthetic of your work. Okay? The next really important part in this section of the 7 principles is storytelling. Now, storytelling wraps up all 7 of these together, but on its own, it is very, very important. And what I suggest is that you have at least 30 stories in your back pocket at all times. And if you can accomplish this, if you can have a story ready at all times that you can share with people, then you become the most interesting person in the room. Which is a great thing to be, because if you're an introvert or if you are anxious in a crowd talking to people, if you already have these things memorized, then you don't have to come up with anything on the spot. You just have to go through the script that's in your head and customize it for the person that you are speaking to. Because while your ideal customer may be the person who fits in this silo, you may be interacting with a whole bunch of people around them, and you have to customize your story so it fits into their their views on the world and their beliefs. And we'll talk about that more when we talk about asking for the sale, which is in part 5. Okay, this is part 3. Now, let's do an exercise, or I want you to do an exercise starting after this. And that exercise is you're going to create 5 stories. You're going to identify 5 stories about you and your art. And the first thing you're going to do is say, what is the drama? And then after that, you're going to list 3 to 5 bullet points about the art or about the story. And you're always going to talk, when you're talking about your story, you're going to start with the drama, and then you're going to fill people in, then you're going to end with the drama. And if you memorize 5 of those, then you can go ahead and do 5 more, and then do 5 more until you have 30. I probably have like 60 or more. I have a lot, right? And I can always talk to anybody I meet and guide them through a story about my art in a way that's entertaining to them, no matter if they're a construction worker or a lawyer or an Amazon exec or a Microsoft person, or anyway, you get the point. Have these stories and be able to be flexible with them, but have those scripts in your head. And the last one I want to talk about right now is the why principle. And this is a great tidbit because, well, it's just the way our brains work. Now, the gist of this is, as long as you tell people why you are doing something, they will accept it. And you need people to accept what you're telling them so that you can move them through to the next portion of the conversation. But if they can't accept it, then their brain's going to be hung up here while you are still going on and on. Okay? So the why principle is basically this. Tell people why you're doing something and they will accept it. There's a study that I learned about from like the 70s where they took people in line for a Xerox machine at a real office, and they had people cut the line. And they would have people cut the line and give a reason or not give a reason for cutting the line. And the people who gave a reason that was legitimate, like, I need to copy my stuff because my meeting's in 5 minutes, or I spilled coffee on my presentation notes and now I need copies right away. Okay? And 94% of the time, the line allowed them to cut. Okay? But then they sent someone to the front of the line who did not have a reason. And they simply said, can I cut the line because I want to cut the line? Guess how effective that was? It was 91%. 91% of people. So only slightly less people than the people with the real reason for cutting the line were allowed to cut the line because they just gave a reason. So if you're doing a sale, or if you're promoting a new piece of art, or you have a new collection coming out, all you have to do is tell people why you made it. Tell people why you're creating it. Why is this piece of artwork worth learning about? And they will accept it. Then you can go on to the teaching. So the why principle is really, really important. Okay, so the next section is pricing, which I know we're all excited about. And again, if you made it to or arrived at part 3 and are looking forward now to jumping into pricing, I very strongly suggest, actually kind of require you to go back and watch What is Sales, learn about the customer journey, learn about marketing campaigns, so that all of this stuff can line up into how you're going to price your work. I will see you in part 4.